I'm Scott, and this is Annie Miller, and this is our boys.
So this is our crew. We like to call ourselves the Miller Crew. We're excited to be able to kind of share a little bit of our story, and we may kind of look put together. It may kind of look like maybe we have it together, but that is not exactly true. We are a lot of broken pieces put together, and so the theme this year is known. And we've been known by God for a long time, even before we knew it. At 12 years old, I started believing the lies of the enemy. At 7 or 8 years old, I had asked Jesus to be the Lord of my life at a vacation Bible school, and then got into middle school, got into some peer influence, and just began believing the lies of the enemy. And at 12, I started lying to my mom. I started disobeying. I started getting into a party scene at a very young age. And one day, I was concerned that I might be pregnant, and I had a friend who was much older than I was, who told me that we could go someplace and get a free pregnancy test and nobody had to know about it. She drove to my house and picked me up and brought me to Save a Life. I knew nothing about the ministry. I knew nothing about the backside of the ministry. I just knew I could go and get a free pregnancy test. And I walked in the doors, signed some papers, took a pregnancy test, sat down in a room, and began to talk with a counselor who began to coach me. Like, if I were pregnant, what would I do about it? And so as we talked for a little while, she gave me sound wisdom. She shared her testimony with me about how she had had an abortion and wanted to serve, wanted to tell people her story because she never wanted someone else to go through what she had gone through. Sitting in that room that day, she walks back in a little while later and tells me that I'm pregnant. And we had already talked about what my plan would be, what my next step would be if I was pregnant. And so I went home, and that evening I sat down with my mom and I told my mom that I was pregnant, and probably one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. And then my mom contacted the center, and we began to meet and talk about what were some options. They helped me to find a doctor. They helped me to find resources that could help me along my pregnancy. We had discussed the options of possible adoption, but I wanted to parent my child. I just had a strong desire in my heart to parent. I don't know how I would have done it without my mom. But with my mom's help and with the help of the center, I did. I carried my child. He was 3 months premature. Austin was born at 26 weeks, weighed 2 pounds and 3 ounces. We spent 2.5 months in the hospital. And at 17, I attended Fountain of Life Church, which is our home church, and that's where Scott and I met. He was serving in youth ministry. There is a little bit of an age gap between us. He was serving in youth ministry. I was still a teenager, and I showed up at the church with my baby, and the church just loved on me. They loved on me. They loved on my child. They accepted us, and I felt love, and I got plugged into the youth group, and I got involved, and the Lord just began blessing us, and that's where Scott and I met.
Our youth pastor had said, "Hey, you need to meet this girl. She's younger, but she's kind of grown, a lot more grown than you are, actually." That's kind of the way to put it. But and we went on a date. We went to see Rebecca St. James. I'll never forget. But earlier that day, I was in the pool, and we was messing around with a bunch of friends, and ended up getting my eye scratched, and it actually tore my retina. And so, but I wanted to look good for my date, so I didn't want to wear my glasses. I wanted to put my contacts in, and so I did that. That was a horrible idea. Got to her house probably 30 minutes late. Blood running down my face. And so I picked her up, and I got halfway through the date. It was at the concert, and I got halfway through the date. I couldn't even see anymore out of that eye. Well, we sat through the concert, but on the way home, she had to take me to the hospital. So we spent most of our first date in the hospital, and we always like to say we fell in love in the hospital room, which we did, in the waiting room. So one thing that was kind of interesting when we first met is, I had prayed my whole life for a girl that was pure and that was a virgin, because I had saved myself for marriage, and so that was a big deal to me. That was a hard thing, and it was important to me. And so, but God told me one night, I remember distinctly, God said, He said, when she got saved, everything became new. And as soon as He said that, I was already in love with her. I just finally accepted that hey, this is my future, and this is my wife.
But the Lord brought our stories together. He knew us before we were formed in our mother's wombs. He knew Scott's story. He knew my story. He knew what the future held. And so we got married there at our home church, and very soon after, immediately, we were both serving in ministry. Scott was already serving in ministry. I began serving in kids ministry. As a family, our life is all about loving God and loving people. We hit this really cool season in our lives where God is just doing amazing things in our family. And so that's our heart, is to defeat the enemy's lies with God's truth. And so we're thankful for the Women's Resource Center. We're thankful for the people who show up every day and serve. We're thankful for the people who, when they're tired and they don't feel like pressing forward, they continue to do that. We're thankful for the donors who make it financially possible for Women's Resource Center to function and to operate. Sure. I needed them so much 26 years ago, but consistently throughout my life and throughout the journey, the Women's Resource Center has been a source of strength, a source of support and encouragement, and has given a voice to the things that the Lord has done in our lives.